Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together we are TwinFinity.
And the birds.
And the birds.
And the birds.
And the birds.
We're outside with the birds, but not the bees. Just the birds.
Yeah, hopefully not the bees.
Yeah, no birds and bees tonight. It's not that kind of a video.
Not that kind of a video, no.
No. So, we are back with another question and answer video, a little later than supposed to be, but pretty normal for us lately.
This past year we've been running late.
Yep.
We're supposed to do these early in the month and we do them late in the month.
Well, we're supposed to do them once a month. It's been more like 6 weeks.
No, actually not. I think we've been okay since the last couple.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I know for sure, but
Okay,
just
good.
guessing.
And I'd like to just point out, in fact, one of you is probably going to point it out, so I'll point it out.
Angie wants to
To
point it
help.
out first.
That's right. I want to point it out first. I just noticed as we were like making sure the sound was okay and everything that we're both wearing blue this time. Last time we were both wearing pink.
Pink.
Somebody has been very observant, one of our regular viewers and commenters, that our energies have merged differently. I can't remember her wording.
We're not quite so opposite.
Yeah, masculine, feminine, like we've always been. I'm always in pink, he's always in blue, and it's just worked that way. We don't plan that. It's just who we are. We have pink and blue clothes. But last time, Rob got a brand new pink shirt. It was kind of purpley pink. So he was wearing his pink shirt, and I was, of course, wearing my pink shirt. And today, I just got this new jewelry yesterday, so I had to wear something blue to match it, because every time I get new jewelry, I'm like, I gotta wear it right now. And so now we're both in blue.
Both in blue.
So
with a green hat.
She's totally right that something's going pretty cool, funky with our energies. And I think it's kind of neat.
And the thing is you're not perfectly in blue because your earrings and your necklace have got clear.
Well, they got iridescence, yes.
Okay, iridescent or clear as well as being blue. And my shirt is not solid blue. It's got blue with white dots. So my shirt actually very much matches your earrings. And that I didn't know. We both showed up outside without having conferred on what we were going to be wearing tonight. Sometimes it's a surprise.
Yes.
She probably didn't expect my green hat either.
Well, I call it your Boy Scout hat.
Kind of looks like that.
Yeah, it totally does.
I had to work on the brim to get it even for like a minute. It was all over the place, and I would demonstrate, except then I'd have to spend another minute fixing my hat.
And with all due respect, nobody cares.
Nah.
It's a hat brim. Don't think anybody's terribly interested. What we will share, though, is our little anecdote of the month. And I shared last time, so I think you should be the one to share it this time. We have talked about it. I don't know if you remember that.
Here I go. I'm being thrown under the bus.
The 1997 comment about in bed, and then now the current comment about in bed.
Okay.
You remember?
We're going to talk about in bed.
In bed. We're not talking about the birds and the bees. We said that from the beginning, and we're really not. But we are talking about in bed.
Well, as I recall, back in 1997, Angie was very warm.
Well, I was normally warm. It was you that was extra warm.
But the thing is, I wanted you, because we were both too warm back then, I wanted you, I said this, I didn't censor this, I said, I need you to be colder in bed. That way we could snuggle.
And not overheat.
Of course, that leaked out of the mouth, and you reach out to grab it, and it's gone.
Yeah, he didn't mean in that way, but he did mean temperature. Please be a little colder in bed. And that because you were extra warm because you were so incredibly over the top physically active back then.
Yes, as if I'm not now at times.
Well, at times, but you used to run it up and down 37 flights of stairs just to go get your laundry.
Yeah.
It was insane. And you'd bike halfway to
Timbuktu.
Yeah, and back just in an evening for fun. Crazy.
So now
Now
we're at a time where Angie is quite warm and she can't handle any heat being around her. And so I come to bed and I'm still warm, and now she's asking me to be colder in bed so that she can have something to cool her off.
So we've switched.
Yes.
He used to want me to be colder in bed. Now I want him to be colder in bed. And we chuckle about this almost every night when he comes to snuggle. And I'm like, oh, get away. You're too hot.
And I'm like, I'm not too hot, am I? And then I lean up against her and I go, oh, yeah, okay. Well, I'm a lot warmer than you are, that's for sure.
And I'm trying to stay cool so I can sleep.
But yeah, she's still not all that cool. I just must be me that's hot.
Yeah. See, you're still the one that's hot.
There's too warm.
Yeah.
Metabolism, too high.
Yeah. But it's just so funny that before it used to be him asking or wishing that I would be colder in bed. And now I'm the one asking him to be colder in bed. Yeah, good old twin flame.
It goes around, comes around, flips over.
Yes.
Sometimes it's pink and blue shirt, other times it's pink shirts only, other times it's blue shirts only. You never know what you're going to get.
Just never know.
Changes all the time.
Yep. Next time we'll probably be in orange and I don't know what color.
I've had orange before.
I know you have. I'm trying to think of what other color I have. I have green. I have some green. It's mostly pink. Let's be real. Anyways, we'll get into questions. We just had to share our funny story because it's amusing us lately.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, almost every night. Can you be colder in bed?
Nah.
Too warm.
Question 1?
Sure, I was just going to share for those of you that care and like pumpkin spice latte season.
I knew she was going to say it.
I'm drinking my pumpkin spice latte. It's still August, and I don't care.
It's August, but then again, lots of other places are starting to.
Starbucks has theirs, so I make my homemade pumpkin spice ones, and I love them.
They're Halloweening up all over the place.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Kind of is.
Pumpkin spice is never ridiculous.
True.
Yum. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just thought I should share since I'm sipping away on my yummy drink.
Are we ready?
Yep.
Question 1. Can you talk a little bit about resentment and the twin flame journey?
Can we ever?
You get 6 people together that are on the twin flame journey. They could talk all night about that. I've done enough work to understand that my soul chose the experiences of this incarnation. Yet I've had a real difficult life, especially since becoming aware of my twin flame connection, and this has filled me with a deep resentment I cannot shake, although I am working on it. Why would the human me feel such resentment about having a hard life, especially when I've had an understanding of my soul's path? And do you have any advice on releasing resentment?
I have some answers.
I'll let you get started on that.
Okay. I have some answers because I feel this myself lately. Not necessarily the twin flame journey, but I think whatever your journey is, if you're spiritually aware and understand your soul chose it, you can still have resentment. It doesn't mean we're not exempt from the human experience, and we're going to have human emotions, and that's okay. That's part of being human. So we can still acknowledge the higher 5D reasons and the purpose why we're here and what we chose, but it doesn't exempt us from feeling the frustration, the anger, the resentment, the whatever. I just recently had an experience where some health stuff that I've been talking about for the last 4 years, I have in the last few months learned that it's a soul thing going on. It's not like a physical thing. And I've been really kind of mad and resentful and even telling my soul, like, are you nuts? Did you really think you needed to choose this much in one lifetime? Wasn't the twin flame journey enough? Now you got to choose to clear for the collective? Really? Is this really what we all needed in one lifetime? So I understand resentment, and I can tell you what I have found the best way is to clear it is to just honor the feelings. Allow yourself to have them, whether you feel them, whether you have discussions with your soul like I do, whether you write them in a journal, whatever you need to kind of feel them and process them. But what I will tell you is I would recommend, I was going to say don't, but I don't want to tell people do or don't. I would recommend not just shoving them down and saying, well, I can't have these feelings because I chose this and I'm a spiritual person, so I must just have it. We're still human. As I said, we're going to have feelings, and it's okay to have those feelings, and it's okay to express them. So let them out, because otherwise they just get stuck in your body and they end up being dis-ease, which then creates disease, right? So it's okay. I think there was more to the question, but I wanted to... Why would human me feel such resentment about having a hard life, especially when I understand my soul's path?
Just because you understand what your soul has chosen doesn't mean it has to feel good on every level.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel good that you're accomplishing what it appears to be your soul's choice was, but on different levels, it can still be disappointing. Like, I can thoroughly understand why a person would resent day to day, week to week, month to month, having the same extreme disappointment in what they know is their journey. It really, really does make a person wonder why they would ever choose that.
Sometimes you want to go back up to spirit and like have a conversation with your not only your soul but your soul group and all of those that helped plan your life before you came here, and go, okay, can we like change the routine, change the route? Like, does it need to be what I thought I was a good idea?
Like, and do we have to have this experience continuously? Like, can it just not be part of the life and then shift on to something else?
Yeah.
Hopefully not as bad.
Yeah. Does it have to be a continual challenge?
Does it have to last all life in some cases with some poor souls? Yeah, this is a tough one, and I find it a little hard to talk about it. I can relate to it from the point of view of an understanding, but I guess I'd have to say I'm fortunate that I don't resent my soul's journey yet. But that scares me because, if people spend years and years and years having a struggle that they don't understand and they just have to bear with it, I'd be really afraid to wait till the last just few years of my life with all that saved up, and then it ends up being a huge punch right in the nose.
No, hopefully
like
not.
like a whole big whack of resentment just when I think that life for some has a lot of good hope. But of course I'm not wishing anything bad on myself. But I'm kind of still a little bit looking over my shoulder saying,
Where is it?
Yeah, where is it?
I can remember when I first, well, actually, just to back up, before I discovered that Rob and I were twin flames and discovered the whole twin flame journey, I, of course, was awake and understanding that my soul chose all of this. But I was like, soul, when I get back up there, I'm going to kick your ass. Go ahead and bleep me. Go ahead. Too late.
Bleep.
And then when I discovered the twin flame journey, it was like this huge aha, like, oh, I get it. My soul had the plan all along. Now all this struggle and pain and these years and years of trials and tribulations and narcissists and homelessness and everything else all made sense. And then I had peace with my soul. So I think when we get to the other side, and we, not necessarily the other side of like this life of, crossing over and dying, but the other side of whatever challenge we're on, and we get through it, then we can see the hindsight, right? It's always like they say, hindsight is 20/20. When we can see the bigger picture again, then we have the understanding. So when we're in it, yes, we have the resentment, and that's okay. But if you can just remember that your soul has the bigger picture, it's got the higher up picture, and it's got everything figured out, even though our ego doesn't at the time. And that might just help you let go of some of the resentment and knowing your soul's got it figured out.
Ego and expectations. When you have expectations and they're supported by ego, it's really hard to find other good bits in your life to to displace or balance the resentment that you have. When you're stuck in a loop of resentment, it's usually fueled by the expectations that there can be change. But let's back this up one more notch. It's really hard to say to someone, just stop resenting it. It's your soul's choice. Just accept it and go on, because there's still disappointment. But if you can see and understand that disappointment, if it's not going to go away, if you can put it someplace where it allows you to feel other things in your life that are good. And then you can take that good and see the disappointment and the good and disappointment, and at least try to work on the things that can make you happy, things that aren't disappointing you. If you can't get rid of what's disappointing you, work on other things that can help and enhance your life, so that you can work towards a balance that way. And you still don't have to accept the disappointment, but you can try to balance it. The resentment gets in the way of working on that balance. So it's kind of a bit of a catch-22. It's hard to find the good things in life to balance the bad things if the resentment that's attached to the bad things interfere with finding the things that could make you happier. But if you can work on breaking out of that constant cycle of being stuck with resentment being your dominant feeling in life, that's about the only direction that I could ask a person to really go. Because I know well enough from having seen enough questions and talked to enough people that you can't turn off resentment. It's best to be balanced.
Part of being human.
Yep.
We get to experience the whole myriad of emotions and bugs.
Oh yes.
In our latte.
Bugs in the latte. That's not a surprise either. We have lots of bugs.
Yes, we do.
But not enough that we're wearing bug repellent.
No. So I think that's a great question for a lot of people. I think a lot of people experience that. And again, not just if you're on the twin flame journey, any journey. If you're awake and understand that you actually chose this, people that aren't awake just feel like they're the victim, right? And they're just like, why me? Blah, blah, blah. But if you're awake, you understand you chose this and this was all your own creation. But it doesn't mean you can't still have frustration about it. So, very good question. I think it's relevant to a lot of people. So my heart goes out to you because I've been there. And I've been there a long time ago, and I've been there really, really recently too. I get it.
You're not alone.
Nope.
Those that are burdened with resentment about this journey. In fact, you're kind of the majority.
Yeah, think so.
Yeah.
All right.
Next question.
Yeah.
How do you remain excited about the possibility of union and in awe of the twin flame connection while you are in separation and simultaneously learning to live your best life for yourself? That almost links back to the last question.
Mm-hmm.
Learning to live the best life for yourself, even though you're in separation. And how do you remain excited about the possibility of union?
Personally, I'm going to say I don't think you have to remain excited. Again, it's very similar to the last question, that if you only allow yourself to feel one feeling, then you're blocking all the other feelings. And if you're blocking feelings, you're also blocking the potential for union, because union is having union with self first. And if you aren't allowing all of the feelings that you need to feel, that's not union with self. Union with self is not all the fairy and wonderful and only the light and happy feelings. It's all the feelings. We think as spiritual beings, we have to be happy and positive and kind and sweet all the time. Absolutely not. Sometimes it's about like being in the muck and the mud and yelling and screaming or doing whatever you need to do to release some of that stuff in order to get to the lightness. So I don't think, in my opinion, you need to always hold the excitement and the, what was the other thing? The awe.
The excitement and awe of the twin flame connection.
I think allowing to live your best life is part of feeling whatever comes up, not shoving it down, going, oh, this isn't like excitement, this isn't awe, I better only look at those feelings or look at those pieces of the puzzle. The whole puzzle needs to be looked at. That's my opinion. I want to hear yours now.
I'm kind of all over the place with this question. In awe of the twin flame connection. I'd like to put it a little bit different. I don't think a person needs to be in awe of the twin flame connection or in awe of their in awe of understanding spirituality, because when you get to the point that you understand that something is a huge aha moment, or you understand how important it can be, you're no longer in awe of it. You are in parallel with it. You are part of it. So therefore you don't have to hold it in a higher respect than where you believe yourself to be. It's like hero worship. You don't need to have your twin flame connection be something that is a hero to you, because once you understand that it exists, and even possibly how it works, and it exists, you are part of it.
That's a great way to look at it.
You need to be. I had the words and then I lost them. You need to be in high respect of your own understandings, not what you believe is a different set of understandings.
That's good. That's very profound.
So therefore, when you've accepted that you're part of it, you don't need to be in awe of it, and therefore your respect of it, because you're part of it, is all you need. You don't necessarily have to have a large amount of excitement for it. I hope that made a little bit of sense. So how do you remain excited about it? Replace the excitement with respect. And include yourself, because you've made it there. So now, how do you remain excited about the possibility of union? How many times have Angie and I tried to say that there's more to this journey than union? Angie talks about going within and learning about yourself and understanding your role within the realm of spirituality, and how to have it achieve some balance in your life. How do you remain excited about the possibility of union? Is that what you really should be spending your life's effort doing, is staying focused on union, and then wondering how you're supposed to keep your hope and your excitement and everything going, because you're so focused on that? You're almost over-focused on that, if that's what you're doing. Work around with that. Maybe work a bit more on the spirituality side, or if you're not in balance with the 3D side, that's still another good thing to work with, is your balance within keeping your spirituality and the three-dimensional side in balance, so that you have less disappointments in a combination of spirituality and real 3D life. Even though I would really hope that the 5D life is actually slightly more real for most people. Really.
I was going to go there.
Yeah. Because that's the true life.
Yeah.
This 3D bit is so subject to interpretation that I actually trust the interpretations of 5D more than 3D.
Those were really, really good answers, though. I like that.
So I kind of ripped the question apart, because the focus of the question was not showing enough respect for where you're at. Question, answer, and question, proposer, person.
Yeah, I think it's a lot about, like, to phrase what Rob said in a different way, is living in the moment instead of chasing union and having that like be up there, like that's something I'm reaching for, and how do I keep it in awe, is just be here and be in the moment of whatever you're feeling. If it's not awe, that's okay, because you can't live in awe only, right? You got to live in all the experiences.
Kind of like driving from Seattle to Disney World.
Okay.
Yeah.
How?
And all you're focused on is Disney World, and you miss all the things along the way, all the great sights along the way.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. All you're going is Disney World, Disney World, Disney World. And then you get there and you go, there's some stuff along the way. Do I have to go back and re-drive, relive all that stuff just to pick up on what I could have seen along the way, instead of being so focused on the destination instead of the journey?
I like it. You got your wise hat on tonight. As most nights.
No. Yeah, well, I got the hat that I walked up a mountain with a few days ago. You knew I was going to have to say that.
I shouldn't have said the word hat. My apologies.
I really don't think she likes this hat very much.
It looks like you should be in the mountains with it, at least. Look like a ranger or Boy Scout, so it's fitting.
I walked into a tree branch with my head. It's actually covering up a little bit of a mark on the top of my head that's still a bit sore.
Because he doesn't know how tall he really is. He forgets his height and walks into things.
My head walks into things and my toes get stubbed. Like, the further away I get from my core, the less I have understanding of how far away I am from it. My feet and my head take a beating.
Oh, dear.
I really like the question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, very relatable to most everybody, whether you're on the twin flame journey or not, because it's not just this journey that, some people are chasing something else or wanting to be in awe or wishing or hoping for something else. So I think it's very relatable to everybody.
Next question?
Yeah.
It says, I have a question for Angie.
I've already answered this person individually a little bit, because it was a very kind of personal question, but I thought it was relevant for everybody too. So
It says, do you mind if I ask, is there a Reiki course you recommend, or a key factor in finding a helpful Reiki course? Thank you for all your recommendations of books, self-care, and therapy throughout the years.
First of all, you're welcome. And what I told this person, I actually made some notes because this was so long ago. I would recommend, just because of my own experiences, I was so blessed. I, first of all, learned Reiki in 1998 1997 is actually when I started. When it was not common, it wasn't like, if you told anybody what Reiki was, they'd be like, what? And they think you're nuts. Nowadays, Reiki's in chiropractors' offices, it's in some massage offices, it's even in some medical facilities.
Yep. And holistic healing has really taken off, and it's very much part of that. So
yeah, even
back in 1997, I'd only heard of it. I kind of didn't really understand completely what it was about. In fact, I barely understood what it was about. I knew it was about energies and something.
So I was just really blessed too. I wasn't even seeking Reiki because I didn't know what it was. It found me.
And then she came home with Fluff, my plant's aura.
And that didn't go over well.
And I'm going, oh no, really? What?
She's turned woo-woo on me. So what I was going to say again is I was very blessed to find somebody who was an excellent teacher. So why I feel confident in recommending things like this is because this is what I got, and it's made me and my friend who I learned Reiki with back then, who I'm still in contact with all these many, many years later, it's made us both fantastic Reiki practitioners that do more than just Reiki, because we were taught to expand our gifts, not just do Reiki. So that's what I would recommend, is find somebody who doesn't just teach Reiki, or doesn't just teach Reiki by the book. You want somebody that's going to help you find and listen to your own, well, I always say to you, inner guidance, right? Learn to listen inside, because as any sort of a healing practitioner, it's not about just you put your hands here and then you put your hands here. It's not a ritualistic thing. You have to be in the moment and go with the flow. If you're working at their head, but the energy is calling you to their feet, and you don't listen to that, you're not being the best practitioner that you can be for that person. You're not serving them in the highest way. So how I was taught is you go where you feel pulled to. You don't just do the positions as you're taught with the head and then this and this and this and work down their body chakra by chakra. There's no rules in Reiki. So yes, it's important to learn the rules so you know what they are, and learn, the hand positions. But then if you can find somebody that teaches you to branch out and learn other things too, like guidance and working with guides and angels and other spiritual beings, it's important, I find, to call those beings in when you're doing a Reiki session. So if you can find somebody that sort of is a real holistic kind of teacher, and not just, okay, here's the Reiki manual, we're following this to the T and that's it. And sometimes you don't know that until you actually do the course, but you can often interview people nowadays and just kind of get a feel. How do you teach? Well, how do you, work through the class? That's what I would recommend, is find somebody who does all those little extra things.
I've got a statement in my mind that I feel I have to speak.
I was going to say, I knew you'd have something to say, even though you've not taken Reiki, and I'm glad for that. I'm not saying that as a slight, because I think you probably have good opinions.
I'm going to say this from a little bit too extreme of a point of view, but it's to make the point. I'm going to say that everybody's gifts are different. And I think it's very important to learn within any modality, to learn how to bring your gifts to the modality.
Thank you. That's a piece I missed saying, is yes, you want a teacher that's going to help you find your gifts and bring them out, not just say, okay, here's the course, now do it as it's taught. You want somebody that's going to help you find your gifts that can serve the client the best, because we all have different gifts. You might be clairvoyant where somebody else is clairsentient. You might be clairsentient where somebody else is claircognizant. So you want somebody that's going to bring those gifts out of you and help you use them to the best of your ability in a session. Not just say, no, the hand positions go here. Don't worry about what you feel or what you see or what you sense. Those are the kind of things you want somebody to bring out. You also want a teacher, and I'm sorry, I've just color and railroad you. I'll let you go back in a minute.
No, I'm actually fine.
Okay.
I had one little point.
I'm so glad you said that, because that wasn't in my notes, but that was totally something. Our teacher had like extra courses that my friend and I took all of them, and they were so good. Like one was on psychometry, where you literally trade a piece of jewelry or a coin or something with somebody else in the group, and then we'd go around in the circle and you'd just read whatever you got from that energy and share it in the group, and then the other person would be nodding going, oh my God, how did you know that? And again, it was practicing our gifts, right? So we got to learn what our gifts were and how to use them. There was one other thing I was going to say. Oh yes, you also want a teacher that doesn't just teach, but they live it. And I don't know how you find that out. I guess your own intuition, or if you're brave enough to ask them questions that will kind of give you that answer. But there's some people that just teach Reiki, but do they actually live it? Do they practice it? Do they practice not just Reiki, but do they live the principles? Do they live what they're teaching? So those are just some suggestions. And not even just for Reiki, but any sort of spiritual class, spiritual course. There's lots of people that just teach things, but they don't live it, and they're not going to help you get the most out of it.
And I think that's something that's really hard to know when you're just taking a course. See, I don't think you get a chance to interview your instructor,
but
as per se. So sometimes I think you have to wait till they're actually in it, and you get to see whether or not they're feeling it and they've got the passion for it and they believe in it, at least from their point of view.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can maybe get a session from them first.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, how I started, is the lady that I learned Reiki from, who, by the way, fun fact, I'm still friends with on Facebook all these years later, which is really cool. She's no longer teaching Reiki and she's no longer in Calgary, but kind of cool to still be connected with her all these years later. How I was even introduced to it is she had introductory nights where she would offer like 15-minute sessions and just like have a group of people and talk about what Reiki was and how it worked and how she worked with it. And so she had me on the table and instantly she was like, are you a healer or a nurse or something? And I was like, I'm a nurse. Why? And of course I didn't know anything about Reiki. And I didn't know, often people who do Reiki are quite psychic, right? They feel energy. And so she picked up that I had very healing hands. So that's how she knew that I was a nurse. And she also said, this was only a month after Rob and I had met. She had said, are you getting married? And I was like, no, but I'm in a really intense relationship with somebody and we've only known each other for a month, but we're already talking about getting married because we were a month in, we were talking about marriage. Didn't know it was going to take us 20 years later.
20 years.
So, when you get to experience a session with somebody, you get to see how they work. And when you know how they work, then you know how they teach. So that's a great way to do it, is go see them for a session. Like literally interview them through a session.
In the case of your instructor, I think your instructor was allowing themselves to be interviewed beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. She explained what Reiki was, how it worked, then we could ask questions, and then she got us on the table. And she had other people, other students working with her. I was lucky enough to get her directly. And that's how I ended up being one of her students. And then I also was her assistant. I ended up working for her and being her assistant as well. So yeah, it was meant to be. It was very synchronistic how I ended up learning Reiki, because it wasn't something I was searching out. But if you are searching it, that's some tips. And good luck, because it's an awesome, awesome tool. I've been doing Reiki for, 97 to now, what is that, 27 years? And I love it.
I could be wrong on this, but so many people, like a larger percentage of people, start out with Reiki as one of their very first stepping stones into spiritual understanding. And I think that that's because it has such a universality to it, that from so many different points of view, you can put that as a pillar of knowledge and then continue working in whatever direction your spiritual journey takes you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good starting point.
Yep. Yep, agree.
Said a woodpecker fly up on
I was
the roof.
wondering what you were looking at.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the next question because
You are?
it's for me.
It's
as
another
well.
one. Another one that says, "Hi Angie."
I've been so excited to answer this question.
Okay, I'm going to take a breather.
I have materials. I said to Rob as I'm gathering all my materials, I said, this is why I like doing questions this way and not doing them live, because when you're live, I can't run all over the house and look for like books and images and things. So
And also, in order to get out to this piece of grass that we're sitting on, we had to get through our gate, and normally we got a few things to bring outside, like, a computer and something to put it on and a blanket to sit on, and that's about it. And she said, well, the gate's open, you better, I'd close the gate, and she said, you might want to have left it open. And I'm thinking, what are we hauling outside, half the house?
Yep.
The answer was, I think I had something that it involved some form of expletive when I saw the pile of stuff she was walking outside with. I'm like, what?
But then I left some of the pile back, and I'll explain in a minute after I read the question.
Angie's turn.
Yes. So, hi Angie, how do you know we have multiple lives to live? This person's asking this because I think it was not the last video, but the video before that, I had said, don't worry if you don't get it right in this time, in this life. We have endless lifetimes if we choose them. We have more than a bazillion lifetimes that we can come back if we want to.
And lives also expand far beyond what we could understand here on Earth, because there's many different environments to live.
Yeah.
And Earth is just one of them.
Different star systems, different planets. So she's saying, what evidence is there to prove that? I've heard the notion before, but have never heard any objective reasonings to support that thought. So the reason I was so excited to answer this question is because the afterlife and past lives and future lives and all of that is my ultimate passion. I would love to teach this just to everybody who wants to know. So I only brought 2 books. I actually have like a whole library.
She had 10 books stacked up. Like there's no wonder she needed help with the gate. And I had to carry everything else, which means I needed help with the gate.
But they were all about life after lives, or life after life. They weren't really past life, so I thought they weren't as relevant to the question. So how do I know there's past lives and other lives? I know it from very personal experience. And I think that honestly is the best way to know it. I've got a friend that I'm really, really close with who believes it, understands it, but struggles really with the full concept of it. And she's tried reading books and it just doesn't resonate with her. And I said, you know what? It's just maybe because it's not supposed to. I said, it does for me because I remember so many of my past lives. And I'm meant to. Not everybody's meant to. I'm meant to because I personally struggle greatly with being human and I don't do well on Earth. So I was given the gift of remembering this time around so I could like remember that you're not here forever and you can go to another life next and you're not stuck just on Earth. So I'm going to show you a chart and then I'll explain a little bit. These are all the lives I remember. I'm not going to go through all of them because it would take us all night. But each one of those hearts is a different life that I remember at this point. Some I remember just from, what do you call that? Just memories that come up on my own. Others are from past life regressions. Others are from QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis sessions. As I say, I love this stuff. So anytime I can be a volunteer that somebody is like, hey, I'm learning QHHT or I'm learning BQH or BHT, whatever it's called. I always get that one mixed up.
Sounds like a preservative.
Yeah, it does.
Sorry.
And they need a volunteer. I'm like, pick me. I'm also trained to be a past life regression person. So I've been on both sides. I've been on the side of being the regressed and remembering lives. I've also been on the other side of regressing people and having them remember lives. And when you're on both sides, especially, it's hard. Well, I was going to say it's hard to deny. I personally can't deny it because you see people that are very, if I can use you as an example, very 3D, grounded in this earth, who actually remember other lives when they've had regressions.
I remember just snippets of bits that I can't really make a whole lot of sense of, but I treasure them. I just feel, I know that it's not just wild imagination. It's something that, it's like when you see something as a kid and then you see it again as an adult and you go, I remember that. I was there. I can't remember the exact details, but yeah, I've got little bits and pieces too. For myself, I don't need any convincing. I've been here before, many times.
Many times.
Met her many times before too.
Yep. And in fact, one of, I'll say my favorite life, because I don't really know if it's your favorite life, probably not, but my most favorite life is what I always refer to as my castle life. I was literally a princess. But that doesn't mean, most people think when they talk past lives that we were all somebody famous and we had this great life. We've been it all. We've been the high up and we've been the lowest down. We've been the savior. We've been the murderer. Some people struggle with that, and that's fine. I'm just telling you from my experience. I've had the lowest of low lives. I've been a slave where I was beaten and whipped. I've been a princess where I've had everything handed to me, and I've had beautiful jewelry, which is why I love jewelry so much in this life, because it reminds me of that life. But in my castle life, Rob and I were not allowed to be together because he was a commoner and I was a princess. And I was even willing to, as I've always shared, give up my princessness. I was willing to like walk away from everything and be with him and live in the commoner village. And he's like, absolutely not.
I wouldn't accept that.
Nope.
I wouldn't let her do that.
Yeah, he wouldn't let me ruin my life. But I was like, I will, for you, I will.
As much as it hurt. But we both remember that one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you have validation that not only you remember it, but somebody else remembers it, I also remember from that life so many of the characters, I call them characters, because really this is just a play. We're all just like, let's put on whatever suit we want and we're going to play this role.
The script is not always set.
Right.
But the stage is there.
Yeah. So the people that are in my life this lifetime, Rob, my dad, my ex who was the narcissist, couple of my friends, they were all in that castle life. And they remember it too. So when they remember and I remember and we can share stories and go, remember when you were this person and we did this? And our stories all line up. That's not coincidence. That's pretty powerful stuff. So that's number one, how I know. Number two, how I know, is books like this.
Yes.
And like this. Highly, highly, if you have any questions, doubts, want to know more, think it's all crap or garbage, and you're like, okay, I need somebody to prove it to me.
That book right there, that's your starting point. That's your Reiki.
Let me go like this so you can see his name too. We've actually met him in person. Gone to see him. It was 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
6 years ago, yeah.
This man, I'll just tell you a little bit about his story. You can obviously read further if you're interested, but he was trained very scientifically as a regressionist for people just in this life. If they were having troubles or trials or
PTSD.
Yes. He would regress them back to an earlier time in their life and help them heal it and then move them back forward so they could release the trauma and be
more functional.
Yeah, more stable, more balanced. He had this one lady who just nothing was working that he was doing. So finally, in one of the regressions, he said to her, go back to when this trauma first started. Well, she went back to a past life. She went back to a life that was thousands of years ago. And she started throughout their different sessions saying things that there's no way she would know. She was validating stuff from his own personal life that nobody knew. So there was no way she could know it. So when you read the whole story, it shares how he starts to become aware of, okay, there must be more here. And he was a very 3D, very trained scientific man who needed concrete proof. He got all the concrete proof he needed.
But it wasn't the proof he was looking for.
Not at all.
He had to accept it from a point of view that he was very incapable of doing until he ran into this patient.
Yeah. And now that's all he does. I think he's still traveling. Again, we saw him 5 or 6 years ago now. So I don't know if he's still doing this, but I think so. But his story is fabulous. And then when you see him in person, he actually guides the whole room. Like this is a giant room full of hundreds of people?
Yep, no, I think there was like 500 people.
And he does several past life regressions with everybody. And that was, I had only before him experienced female lives. And I know if you've lived as one gender, you have to have lived another. So I knew I had male lives. So I asked my own soul, I'm like, can I see a male life? Like I want to know who else I've been. And I actually saw, that was the life where I saw that I was a slave and had been beaten and whipped and all of that. So profound stuff. And this guy, very similar story in the sense he he's passed on now, but his books are awesome as well. He's got 3 or 4 books, and Brian Weiss has, I can't even tell you.
6,
Yeah,
7, 8.
I keep going that way. There we go. Yeah, I've got all of his books, and they're so good. So, if all of what I have said makes no sense and you're like, nah, this is a bunch of crap,
Read the books.
read the book. Yep, even just this one. It's not even a thick book. It's a small book. If somebody is not a believer after this, they're just not meant to or ready to believe, because it's
just
all
not
here.
it's just not their part of their journey.
Yeah, but it's like, you can't deny this man's story, and he will share with you. I was like the most scientific 3D. I needed concrete proof of everything. And after his experience, he was like, I can't deny this anymore. So it's fascinating. Fascinating, fascinating. I will also just say I do remember lives on other planets. I remember being in Atlantis. That's why I love crystals. I remember being Palladian, and in fact, I work with my Palladian beings, and I call them my Palladian people, even though they're not people.
You gotta call them something.
It's my endearing way of calling them. So yeah, we've been it all. We have all been it all. And in fact, if you're on this journey as a twin flame, you've definitely been it all, because the twin flame is a more advanced journey, and your soul is not going to choose to split if it's not ready for more work, more challenge, more growth. So as a twin flame, we've all had many lives, and not just this planet. Yeah. So I hope that helps, and I'm sorry I rambled, but I get so excited about this topic because I love it. Okay, we can carry on now.
Where are we at?
Next question.
Oh, we got another question?
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant
time.
Okay, we could probably do one more.
we got room for another. Sometimes, in an hour and 10 minutes zips by, and it's felt like
I didn't realize that's what you meant when we were like, where are we at? Mm-hmm. We're at another question. Since I rambled forever on one question. Don't get me talking about life after death and past lives unless you want to hear me go on and on and on. So we are...
That one?
Yeah.
I can read that just the way it is?
Yeah, and then there is more on the other side.
Oh, that's why it didn't seem to be going anywhere for me.
Oh.
We have an ant.
Yeah, an ant that wants to hang on to our question.
And it's an itty bitty little ant. Hopefully there's not a few thousand more close by. Okay. Very interesting. I don't know if I've seen a question like this before. And
I don't think you know this guy. I'm familiar a little bit with him, but I don't think I've ever showed him to you.
Let's give this a try.
Yes.
I love questions where I have no idea where they're going. I'm just trying to get past the first 15 words. There is a man named Kurt who is in union with his twin flame. He helps other twin flames, and he has a YouTube channel called New World All-Star Kurt. And he has a belief that... PTO, please turn over.
Oh dear.
Your twin flame is your past life. He even has a video on his YouTube channel where he talks about this concept. The video is titled, Your Twin Flame is Your Past Life. Kurt believes that when we encounter our twin flame, we are witnessing in first person a life we had ourselves in the past. Very interesting.
I just connected the dots too, that this question comes right after a question about other lives.
Or funny. Else, we are witnessing a preview of a life we will have, of before or after. Kurt believes that he is about 20 to 30 lifetimes ahead of his twin flame, and so even though he and his twin flame are the same soul, he believes he is more spiritually advanced, I could use the word experienced, and more involved version of their soul, since he is 20 to 30 lifetimes ahead. For example, his twin flame is rather conventional. She goes to church, and she does not even believe in twin flames. Does this resonate for you at all? The idea that our twin flame is our past life? I'd love to hear your and Rob's take on this concept. twin flame is your past life.
Oh boy, the gears are going now.
They are. They're sparking and crunching as opposed to being nicely lubricated thoughts.
Thanks for the visual.
So you're.
Do
How
you-
about I'm trying to bend some words that I resonate with. Like your twin flame is a representation of either a past or a future life.
It's basically you in either the past
You-
or the future.
And of course, because your twin is the same soul split, the souls have experienced different things, so they're not the same. But what one has experienced, one may wait a few more lives before they experience their version of that lesson that their twin has experienced before them. So maybe one twin is going ahead and gaining some experience, and the other one is coming along later and cleaning up the mess.
Well, how I more interpret it is like how we understand twin flames is one soul that has split into two, but how this is described as your one soul, but your one soul either from the past or the future. So he's now his twin flame, he's saying is him, but from 20 to 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not saying you're one soul split into two. You're the same person.
Yeah. Just in a time warp.
Right. Time. That's a good way to put it. A time warp or a time difference. Personally, I don't resonate with that. Maybe people do.
There's going to be some people who are going to go, hey, that makes sense based upon their experience and understanding in this lifetime.
Possibly.
I'm going to say it certainly sounds plausible to me, even though I don't quite resonate with it the way it's stated. I can definitely go with the thought that one twin has incarnated more than others and therefore may have more experiences. But it's also very possible that the twin that has less experiences has had experiences that have been very educational, and therefore the twin that's maybe not incarnated as many times, as to use a term, may actually be the deeper, more learned soul based upon what experiences they have had, where the other one might be swimming through the muck, where the other one's accelerating through bigger steps at a time, but less of them. So I don't at all resonate with the thought that more lives lived means more advanced.
Right. And that's the part I was going to address too, is to me that sounds very ego based, in that when you say, well, I'm more advanced than my twin flame because I've lived more lives. I don't think, if you're a twin flame, if you're the same soul, you can't have one more advanced than the other. I think you advance together. You advance separately with different experiences, but you can't come together. This is again my own interpretation. You can't come together in union unless you've found union with yourself on the same energetic levels. So if you think you're more advanced than your twin flame, then you're not energetically in balance with each other.
In phase.
Right.
In phase. As a foundational principle, boy, I've talked a lot about foundation tonight. As a foundational principle, I quite resonate with the thought that if one twin experiences something, the other twin also experiences the same thing. But where I'm also okay with this is both twins don't have to interpret each experience identically.
Right.
Because
You're not going to.
Because you've got separate other experiences, a shared experience or a swapped experience because only one's experienced it directly, the other one's experiencing it secondhand. It could be nearly a carbon copy, but based upon what they've had for experiences, it may have a different meaning to them or a different take of a similar meaning. So just because one twin has lived many more lifetimes, it doesn't mean that the other twin has no knowledge of what was learned during those lifetimes. Just possibly a different interpretation.
I'm glad you said that the way you did, because how I also interpret lifetimes and how it's been explained in quantum physics is that your lifetimes aren't real, like we call them past lives or future lives, but they're really all happening at the same time. So, and it's a hard one to grasp. I've talked about it many times in videos, but it is a tough one to get because you have to literally be out of your mind, out of your brain to get it.
I might qualify.
Because it's not logical. And we understand time on this planet, but time in spirit world, there is no such thing. Everything is now. So this kind of breaks that law of everything is now when you're saying, this is me, but this is my twin from many lifetimes ago, so they're less advanced than me. Really, every lifetime, we're actually living it at the same time. So my castle life is happening now. This and all these other lives are really happening now, which I know is even hard for me to grasp. Like, I'm still like, how's that possible? Because our brain can't fully understand that, because we live in a concept of time. So I just don't resonate with it. I'm not saying it's true or not true. It just doesn't, from how I understand time and lives and present lives and future lives and past lives, and the fact that we're really living them all right now, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Just to throw this into a slightly different perspective, and I maybe don't even need to do this, but I will anyway. I interpret things sometimes when I have troubles understanding what's going on around my immediate sphere. I look at it from a very earthly point of view. I believe that the energy that flows through me is just a reflection of, let's say, what that would flow through the earth, or the earth's energy as it would flow through the solar system, or the solar system's energy as it would go through a galaxy through the universe. If you see something that works in the universe, it should work on a much smaller scale, because
we are the universe.
The energies can't really be different on these different levels
Totally.
of size within the same dimension.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, I'll throw out an analogy. It doesn't happen to everybody all the time. In fact, for some people, they wish they could do this. But if you fall asleep and then wake up 8 hours later and it feels just as fast as I snap my fingers, you've had no concept of time. But during that sleep, you could have had 10,000 different dreams.
Totally.
Okay, 10,000 different dreams.
10,000 different lives.
Okay, so therefore, if you take the concept of time and call it a 8-hour sleep, or an 8 hour, or a blank in existence, which doesn't need to have time, you can put a whole bunch of lives right in there at the same bit, and you only remember the life that you have now extremely clearly, because it's the one that, it could be maybe the last dream you've had, or it could be the one that had an impact with you in the middle of the night, or the middle of that snap of the fingers. But all of the lives are there. Just as sometimes it's really hard to remember the ones that were within a portion of that snap of the finger when something was super important to you, so that's the one you remember at the moment. Right now I happen to be remembering this life.
Sitting on a hill with rocks behind us.
With rocks behind us. I like rocks.
Yes, you do. So I hope that answers the question. I mean, you asked if it resonates. It doesn't, but that doesn't mean, just because it doesn't resonate with us, it doesn't mean it's not true. And it doesn't mean it's not somebody else's experience, right? We can't validate or disvalidate somebody else's experience because it's their experience.
And somewhere within the realm of people who are going to be watching this video, someone's going to have that big aha moment and go zipping off in a different direction and learn all about this because it's exactly what they need to learn to make sense of their life. I just don't know who that is.
Maybe we'll find out.
Maybe after they've got a little bit of validation, maybe they can leave a comment and say, thanks for mentioning this.
Yes.
Somebody will.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, we welcome your comments. It'd be interesting to hear what other people think. In fact, I would also love people to share in the comments about past lives, if you've experienced any, if you believe in them, if you haven't experienced any, if you don't believe in them. Just be interesting to hear different perspectives. We're always open to that. We're certainly not here to say we got all the answers and, you know, our way is the way. Always open to other people's perspectives. So yeah, please feel free to share.
By the way, going back about 3 questions.
Oh dear.
I'm
supposed to be ending and you're going back 3 questions?
I'm going back 3 questions.
Oh no.
Yeah, a comment that I forgot to make.
Okay.
If you do a QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis therapy, record it.
Oh, definitely.
Because you're drifting in between dimensions, and sometimes you come back out of it and you cannot remember everything that happened during the session. And to hear it later, you go, oh yeah. It's like having an opportunity to remember all the dreams of a night if you record it.
Yes.
Where some of the things that were exposed during the QHHT might just be lost forever to your inner memory, but not something you're able to consciously remember. So record it.
I'm glad you said that because some of my QHHT sessions have been recorded and I've actually shared them on our YouTube, so I will link them above for anybody who wants to watch and hear. There's one where I share a life again with Rob where I was quite wealthy and had a lovely life, had wonderful parents, and Rob and I actually did get married in that life, and then I think we were married for like 3 or 6 months and he died.
Nah, she keeps referring.
Died.
I don't remember that one.
I was
but it makes
devastated.
sense. It's something I would do.
And it was so cool because it was like back again. I'm not good with history, but it was when cars were just starting to be built, and Rob was like actually a tester of cars.
I think I had a car wreck at a massively high speed of about 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But there was no airbags and seatbelts.
And he
so
died hitting a tree, and
that was
I
the end of me.
lived the rest of my life in absolute and complete and utter devastation because I was like, the love of my life is gone. So it was cool. It was a really sad life. I actually remember crying in the QHHT session because it was so devastating. I could feel the emotion like it was happening right now. Probably because it is, because every moment is the now. But anyway, we will leave you with that, and I will link those.
Sorry, I got us going on a
interested.
tangent again.
Yeah, you got us on a tangent.
Yeah,
But
I'm good at that.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for your questions. Great questions as always. And we will be back with more.
And it's really nice at the very end of August, this is August, end of August, to just be able to sit outside, short shirts. That's it.
That's it. The end?
It's just nice.
Okay.
In 2 months, we won't be able to do this, probably. No.
No.
It'd be jacket
Yeah.
and snow pants.
Yeah.
Bleh.
All right. We'll get over it. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.